Hey everybody, so this is Hometown Historian here again, and you can see in the background is the Wandering Woodsman. We are here at Fort Loudoun, their market days. So we're going to get to experience another cool festival here. I've never been here. Cliff has been here before, I think like you said 2 years ago. So you can see the Blue Mountains in the background there. It's like really stunning going through here. I haven't been down in this area like I said before, so we're going to actually have a video of the fort, and we're going to have the festival as well. So I'm going to break that into a couple different videos and probably have this as maybe the intro to several of those videos just to explain, and do it as a Fort Loudoun series because there is a lot here to see. So come along and we'll see you all about the fort. So we are now in Cliff had to go over and get his phone. As you can see, I'm walking over there. I'm gonna start heading down through here to go through some of the tents. We're right here on time at 9 o'clock just to see what's all here at the fair. And like I said, I'm going to do the fair. I'm probably going to do some history as well, probably do the museum as a separate video. But there's a lot, like it just goes and goes and goes. This is like really impressive. Be interesting to see what they all have here, because I think this one really does have a lot of the stuff that's, say, early American crafts and history and that type of stuff. So just to be able to see some of this neat stuff from a different era. See, for instance, here's one where they make all kinds of products out of horn.
Good morning. Hi, how are you? Good. I make everything on the table.
See, that's like the guy just said, like he makes everything on that table with the horn. This is really neat. You get to see some of the different buttons and different things like this. And once again, this is just forgotten art. A little too tall for that tent. This is pretty cool. I love how they have, back in that time period, they used to have like an F instead of an S.
Turkey call?
It's really neat. Pure beeswax candle. Good morning. That's cool. This is a lot of like forged materials. This is like Zimmerman Forge there.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey. Morning.
In the 17th century maps are brightly colored. Every country is colored a completely different shade. Monsters are colored in on the map.
Just see some of the neat things here that they do.
Sophisticated taste. So instead of coloring the whole ocean blue, you would outline the coast and things like that.
Yeah.
Of course, the mapping industry and map printing has become much more common and open. Anybody can afford maps. See the little books there?
Yeah.
With the cover? No, the ones with the cover. Take a look. That's was called the Atlas Minimus, a miniature pocket atlas printed by Mr. Newberry.
There's the wool. That's so neat. You get to see like these crafts from, hey, from back that time period, 1700. Really just neat. Craftsmen of the past. Woodworking there, pretty neat. I gotta get this sign. So apparently in this area is a little more dangerous. Beware of pickpockets and loose women.
I'm the loose woman he caught picking his pocket. I'm still here 47 years later. It's an activity I recommend, but not in front of young children.
There you go. Thank you.
How much is that?
The tins, the little ones are 4, the middle size are 10, and the big ones are 15.
So I got the one lady is the one lady we just talked to, the shortbread exchange station or whatever that is really freaking cool. Actually got some hey, good morning. Got some shortbread. I'll eat that chocolate hazelnut and the regular shortbread. Pretty cool. So we're gonna go over to the next group of tents here. It's been really neat. The guy back there, he does like all the stuff with horn. And it's extraordinary. Like, wish I had more money because I'd love to buy something from him. Because it's like I said to him, it's a lost art. And just so many of these people are such skilled craftsmen. It really is amazing. That's cool. I love how like they have the old style spellings as well. It's just so neat and just seeing everybody that's in the period clothing. This is what they would have looked like back in the day. There's like a woodworking here.
American Girl person. She was over the moon. She hung out in here for a couple hours and I came back from the auction and she goes, I work here.
Wow.
Here you can buy like period accurate clothing. Very, very neat. This is just something you have to come and you have to experience. Here's the handcrafted baskets. Once again, this is another skill that just isn't around. It's really impressive. So I think we're gonna go down to Fort Loudoun and check that out, and then we're gonna go back to the festival here because there's a lot more to go through, and I'm sure there's reenactments and things like that. And once again, we are on now to the second tent section. We just went down to Fort Loudoun, and just so you guys know, this would have been a period piece vehicle. When you didn't have your traditional wagon, you would use this to motor around the Fort Loudoun. I believe this is what, 1738 model. Yeah.
Nice horse.
The 1738 model. That's how they got discovered on the Forbes expedition, because they could hear them from a mile away. Hey.
You want a little bit of friction so it doesn't spin free, but too much and it won't turn. Okay. Well, it was spinning
It's just neat seeing everybody in period clothing.
Humidity, it kind of started seizing up. So I had to
There's another guy that does something with horns. And that was all really, really important.
Back to people so they don't know what you're up to there.
That's neat. He's a box maker. Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is cool. This guy's a gun maker. So that is neat. This would have been somebody that would have been very, very essential to the period of time. He's not one of those people that would make like boxes and things of that nature, containers. Brentwood boxes. That's all handmade. Just like Cliff, handmade. That's pretty cool. Saddlery. Cousins from across the pond. Got another bakehouse, half crown. That's pretty neat because they got a bake oven that they have here. That's pretty neat. You see it's just the smells. Resident baker at Mount Vernon, 1749. That's pretty neat. Hey.
Morning. Morning. There's a nice spot down there by the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, how do you pronounce that river? The Coquitchinong?
Conachig or something.
Conachig, okay. You got that from the expert.
I think these are the more like professional vendors.
Okay.
And the ones over there are like the not that they're not professional, but they're a little more.
Less professional. Let's check out the rest of the professional and then go down there. I want to check out the creek then too. But I definitely want to see that cannon fire off at 11. This is probably, I would assume, like the trades and crafts in here. Or are they trades and crafts down through there too?
Like a mixture.
Okay. These are the people that are like really, really
I'm
good.
not sure what distinction to make, but I never. Yeah.
Well, we'll find out when we
Stuff is
get
more
down.
expensive over here to buy than over there.
Yeah. I was like, some of the stuff that you're seeing in here is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like really, really nice. It's like buying a piece of something from back then.
But a lot of the reenactors come here to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Before they're,
That makes sense because I saw the one, the clothier
Yeah.
down there as well.
so you can, like everything you need for your outfit, you can buy.
You can buy here. That's something at some point I want to be able to do. It's a little much right now, but so if you need a lantern, Cliff.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
One if by land, two if by sea, right? That's American Revolution. Therefore, Boston. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here's another outfitter. Oh, here's the shoes. That's freaking cool. This is another one that you wouldn't think of. This is something you had, you didn't go to, a major manufacturer. You had your local cobbler, I believe it would be. Another bakery there with food. And there's another one where they have the historic art which is so neat. There was a guy over there that had like prints and stuff like that. It was just really beautiful. It's just neat seeing all the tents. Have a number. Hey. A lot of leather work in here. Yeah, belt buckles of every type. Cool nose. Get yourself some wooden clogs. Thank you. You too. Hi. You and Cliff. You're more handsome in person. Just want to let you know that. Sorry. I'll have to edit that out of the film. Where I just came on to you.
Okay.
You're welcome. Maybe I'll keep it there.
Because a lot of the beginning actors you see here, they buy their stuff here. It's not just for people like me and John to come here and film and visit. A lot of the people who do these period type reenactments, they come to these places to buy stuff.
There you have some of the 1700s food trucks that would have been common in that time period. Those are 1750s era food trucks, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick check these couple of tents over here, and then I'm going to join Cliff over at. As like Cliff was just saying, it's sort of nice. It's sort of like when Lewis and I went to historic old Annville Day, and then yesterday with the Schaeferstown Fair Cherry Festival. We got there early enough that it wasn't too nuts. So as he said, when he was here 2 years ago, right, it was pretty ridiculously busy. So that's pretty cool. This is where, once again, this would be where you get, for your camp reenactment, to get the proper things like your mugs and whatnot that you would have. Because everything, the one lady down there, one brewery was saying that everything has to be 1730 to 1790 era appropriate. So this is really neat. This is like what your campsite would have looked like as soldiers. You got the tent, and just so neat. You see all the different things that they would have had. They would have had their muskets all together like that. So they were always ready. So if something happened, an attack came, you could just grab it. It was upright, and you were ready to go. And there you have the drummer's kit and the flag. And this would have been, where they had their food, where they would have slept. Very, very neat. This gentleman over here was talking to us. He's really cool. He said it was really rough yesterday, how hot it was. Because the tents, you don't need a bake oven to bake. Very, very cool. You just get a general idea of the setup here, of how they would have, how things would have looked during encampments. You have this, and the porta pots as well. Era appropriate. But all this they would have carried along with them on wagons, and it's just neat seeing these encampments. This really is, if you get a chance, they do this here, the Fort Loudoun one, here end of June. They also have one at Fort Frederick, which I believe is Maryland. I'm probably wrong about that, so I do apologize if I have that wrong. But they do that one apparently end of April. And they said that one's even larger than this one. And this is impressive. Because I really haven't been at the sort of the reenactment and these types of things for a long time. And that was more, when I did them, there was like Civil War. But this is just really, really neat. You just see how they would have lived back then. There's a puppy dog. Hey. But yeah. So I think this part seems to be more, less vendors and more the area appropriate camping for all the peoples that are vendors. And here you get to see once again, right, all the items that would have been essential to a frontiersman's life. Your powder horns, your various bags that you'd have all your essential materials that you needed to live out here and survive. And these camps for military and stuff, you'd have all kinds of people coming along. Maybe sometimes the family, but usually you would have, you know, the different trades that were necessary, whether it be blacksmith, your saddler, you know, and all that, and those type of individuals that were really necessary for an army to survive and thrive.
Well, you missed the frog yesterday. No.
So once again, this is so neat getting to see everything.
There on the hand iron.
Yeah, one of them would have been the big trade, the fur trade.
Then you start climbing up the end iron after hours. Then
Guy was telling us a story about there was a tree frog that climbed up, I guess, the rope or the broom handle and was sitting out here in the middle of the field, which is odd because you got the tree line, the creek down there, so it's sort of like, wow. I love the smell of wood smoke.
not sure if they had watermelon back then. But
Actually, they did.
did they?
Question answered, the more you know.
That's gonna call them out on that one.
No, watermelon has been around.
Oh. But did it look that good though?
They were smaller.
Yeah.
They were smaller.
They were little tiny like this.
Oh yeah.
Almost like a cantaloupe.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Spanish got them
Spanish. I couldn't remember.
Spanish got from like the 80s.
Okay.
Moved them around.
All right.
Yeah, that was a real popular thing.
Huh.
Like someone got drunk and was put together. It's almost like sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
Sugar was a commodity. So that to me says supply, but not long enough. I mean, we only had 3 sources of sugar, so anything you got if you're a neuro person, that could be a tough one.
Yeah.
Tough one doesn't real sugar, which was cone sugar, came from down in Havana,
Right.
and then you had sorghum, which is they made sorghum syrup,
Yeah.
and then maple syrup.
Yeah.
But you know, you could do birch too, but birch is almost twice what maple is. So you're
Yeah.
looking at 100 gallons per gallon to make sap,
Yeah.
and then make sure you go less. You know,
Right.
for 50 gallons, you get like a little tray of sugar in that thing.
Wow.
There you go, guys. Eat some
Some fresh watermelon.
roasted
Roasted watermelon.
watermelon. I think I watched. Anyway, I feel like I watched something.
Always entertaining. Enjoy yourself, Barry. Good time, brother. the company. Guys, enjoy yourself. Hey, I know somebody was worried in your group about crawdads. Crawdads got back to me, so don't worry about you guys. So please go eat crawdads.
You can see all the campers out here.
That's a good idea.
Oh, neat. Cliff, I think, is looking at the bear skin.
Boy short, he deserves that big hoof rob out. People just want
You see how they used the gorge back then as well. It's like Cliff's skin.
There's the Wandering Woodsman.
There he is.
Famous.
So one of the things that was cool that one guy was saying about is that they are considering potentially moving this to September, because I think one of the things that they've run into, at least this year, is a lot of the camps, they used to have a bunch over here at the end. It's just the heat. I think last year it was like in 90s, so it was like really, really brutal, because being in those tents is like brutal, like a bake oven. So, but anywho, so it'd be cool if they did change that, and maybe this would approach what the Fort Frederick down in Maryland does, where that's really, really huge. But let's continue to look at some more of these tents. Find somebody that's like has the same interest in that regard.
I think if I would do this if I had something like that. I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of lonely by yourself.
Yeah. Plus the loose women wouldn't come after you as quickly. It's even cool how like the kids are dressed up in the period clothing as well. Because there's a number of them, like Cliff pointed out, there's a number of them where it's like the families are all out here together. And that's going to be some pretty cool memories as a little kid to come to a place like this and sort of like a mini vacation for a couple days, living and experiencing a time, you know, completely different than your own. We're so surrounded by technology and all that we forget how people, our predecessors, lived. And unlike then, you know, they did not have porta pots. You found what the closest bush and did your business. Hopefully you didn't get attacked. Thinks that people are having some fun down in the creek, cooling off. I do want to definitely hit the museum yet. And then we want to make the cannon firing. I think it's like 10:15 right now.
10-14.
10, oh, sorry, I was close. Morning. So I'm sitting down here before we want to get the cannon in yet at 11 o'clock. So we got about like 15-20 minutes, and Cliff's going to go step up in the one of the bastions to check that out, that perspective. But this has been a really neat event. It's just like looking around and seeing all the people in that 1700 garb. I just think it's so cool. But a lot of fun. I'm gonna do a video specifically on they have one place here, it's called Scoundrels Alley, and it's on basically the jobs that, you know, something we don't think about a lot of time is the poorhouse. Like if you wind up being destitute, the villages would do things like they would basically sell off their poor, which is horrible. And you basically, in essence, were an indentured servant, which was a little better than a slave. Like you could eventually work your way out of it, but it was pretty brutal life. You know, there was a stigma for being poor, and they punished you for it. And so, to make ends meet, there were these number of jobs that were really, really brutal. Let's just say the laundress was probably the best one, and then you'd have like the worst one was the person that basically gathered poo. You get your poo bucket And you wanted the guy was saying there you wanted to wait till it sort of got that white thing over so you had the nitrates working in it, but that was the one Cliff said I was suited for. We were sort of joking around with him there. He's like, well, what happened to you? Did you have a horseback riding accident? I was like, no, I sort of workplace accident. And Cliff said, well, yeah, it's because he was working with the poo and was stepping in it and all that kind of. But I'm going to do a series on that where it talks about all the really unique jobs that we don't think about that they had back in that time period, and how really rough the living conditions were at that time. So we'll go into that. I'll probably do a short series and then also do long form that actually goes into these different jobs, because I was filming it and it'd be easier to have the picture of each individual job and then talk about it and then go a little more into depth in the video about it. But it's a really, really neat thing that they do. There's probably, I'd say, the coolest display here, just because it's something we'll be learning about a lot together, of the unique professions that they had back at that time period. But this is just such a neat event. It's just, you're surrounded by living history. So I definitely recommend when they have these Fort Loudoun market days to have it on like the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a neat event. So as always, I want to say thank you guys for coming along on another adventure, and we will see you all about town.